guys, welcome back. Well, I told you I would come out with a video as soon as the Resident Evil 4 demo dropped. Dropped a little sooner than I was expecting, but I guess this is the release month for the game, so makes a little sense. They would give us a little bit more of a hands-on, just kind of see what the mechanics are like and things like that before we finally get our hands on the actual game. That was nice of them. Um, One of the earliest thoughts when I started up the demo was I was going into the options and I saw different control styles. I put it on the second one, A2 it's called, I believe, because it switches around the function of the R3 or left or right stick click and the circle or B button. Originally they were swapped and the circle or B button was to crouch like in most modern shooters, and the R3 button was the partner button. I switched that around because it makes more sense to me, and the past couple Resident Evil games have had you crouch with R3, so there was that. But I also couldn't help thinking, because it says like partner button. It doesn't say Command Ashley like it would say in the original Resident Evil 4. And thinking of some of the trailers and things I've seen where Luis is running around way more than he did in the original game, I couldn't help but wonder, like, I wonder if they're planning to remake Resident Evil 5. It could be fun. It also makes me think, are they going to expand Luis's role? I mean, they already have, just based on the trailers, but is he going to have more function than just an AI controlled partner for a few segments? I mean, you look at the minecart chase they've shown and things like that, and I can't help but wonder, are they going to actually have like parts of the game where like Luis is with you, maybe Ada in certain parts, and kind of have sort of play around with some of the partner functions from Resident Evil 5. And when you think about Resident Evil 5, it controlled a lot like Resident Evil 4, and one of the things this remake of 4 is doing is giving us sort of modern controls. And I couldn't help but think Resident Evil 5 with modern controls would be actually fucking awesome. And yeah, I I do hate that, like, I don't trust them to get the same cast, because obviously they are not using the same cast of Resident Evil 4. But I would be cool with, sort of a spin-off game of using, Resident Evil characters we know and love, and giving us sort of a co-op game. But I also, I think Resident Evil functions best when you've got like a single-player game as the core, campaign, and then just a badass like co-op multiplayer mode, more than like the Mercenaries. I've always said it, like the raid mode. I think raid mode is way better than the Mercenaries mode, and it's lots and lots of content that they could continuously update with free DLC or whatever. But as far as the game itself, with Resident Evil 4, the demo, it I really like it. My biggest concern is I really don't like the knife durability thing. Not because it makes it too easy if the knife lasts forever, because you could just parry everything. It's like, yeah, sure, maybe, but don't forget though that the knife had no durability in the original Resident Evil 4. And so you're already taking something from the original and changing it in a way that I'm not sure yet is better. I don't think I'll be able to make the final judgment until I actually play the finished game, but right now I'm not a fan. Now, if there are ways to upgrade the knife and its durability to make it, last longer or take more damage, hopefully culminating in a final upgrade that just makes it an infinite knife, that would be awesome. Maybe that would help. But right now, I'm not loving the knife durability thing. I was able to make it last, and I was able to even parry the chainsaw guy on my first playthrough of the demo, and that was cool, but it broke right after. Like, I parried the chainsaw guy, and no more knife, basically. and with the the removal of the laser, yeah, I know you can add it later from the merchant shop, and that's cool and all, but yeah, my nephew said it too. He's like, my aim was kind of shit when I played the demo. I was like, yeah, mine kind of was too. I don't know what it is. Maybe it was the laser wasn't there. Maybe I don't know. But yeah, granted, I'm playing on PlayStation 5, so I'm using a controller, and you know, PC Master Race will say, well, keyboard and mouse is the way to go. Yeah, sure, but my point still stands. I missed the laser. I really wish the laser was here and a permanent fixture. But we'll see. Again, there are going to be certain judgments I can't be definitive on until I play the final game, but so far that's just what I've noticed. One more thing about the knife thing, though. There are gamers that like to do the knife only playthrough. That was kind of a big staple of well, not a staple from the game itself, mind you. It was more of a meta staple, but you could find videos of some of the best, knife-only playthroughs of Resident Evil 4 and even the games beyond it. And a knife that doesn't last forever makes that kind of tough. And in the past, Capcom has been mindful of helping speedrunners facilitate their speed runs. And it makes it a little counterproductive that they would cater to the speedrunners, but not the knife-only guys. That's why I'm kind of wondering, like maybe there is like a way to upgrade the durability, and those upgrades can obviously carry over into new games. But yeah, so knife-only playthrough is going to be pretty tough, and the melee combat, I wonder if there's going to be upgradable, like the merchant is selling a move scroll of this ancient martial arts technique, and and you'll get more because I think I heard that Leon has a stomp as well, and either it's not in the demo or it's something you have to like again buy or find later in the game. But yeah, that would be cool. I'd be cool with that. It'd be even cooler if the move scroll, quote unquote, was integrated to be part of the world of Resident Evil. Like you find like here, this is a BSAA, combat field manual. This move is called the Boulder Punch. It was created by veteran Chris Redfield. Things like that. Yeah, this is the Jill Sandwich, founded by Barry Burton. I mean, yeah, obviously, don't make it corny. Those are just examples, but yeah, it would be pretty cool. But yeah, so far I'm pretty psyched. I went through sort of a media blackout before all this started because I tend to do that with games I'm really really anticipating because like the more I know and the more I learn, the more hyped I get it, and it's hard for me to contain my hype. And at my job, I work with like mostly women, and some of them are gamers, but they almost never play the kinds of games that I play, so it's kind of tough that I have no one to talk to. But yeah, so like starting with Maximilian Dude's videos, recent videos, I'm just kind of like, oh shit. I mean, I guess I'm learning what I can. So there's a lot of details out there that I usually, well, you guys know me. I'm usually up on my facts. So if I'm positing things that you've already watched a video confirming, that's why. It's because I sort of forced a media blackout on myself just because I'm kind of doing the same thing with Street Fighter 6. It's another game I'm really looking forward to, but lately I have been watching videos on that as well, so it's hard for me to stay away. Come to think of it, though, I think I probably shouldn't do that anymore, media blackout, because I realize that it means less content for you guys. Maybe I should actually follow the news on everything and give my impressions or expand on various factoids that we get about these games. And those are some missed opportunities on my part, so I apologize for that. I probably should actually try to stay up on it, and if I have any thoughts, give them in a video. So, yeah, I think I'll probably try to stay up on things from now on. So I've been through things that could work out, and given you my thoughts on things that I can't really be too certain on until the finished game. But there are certain things that I've already kind of made up my mind about. The first big one, um, Leon's voice actor, Nick Apostolidis. I like the guy. He seems like a super cool dude. He's interacted with JJ and the guys from Residents of Evil. Seems like a super cool dude. But I don't think he's right for this Leon. Not for Resident Evil 4 Leon. And you got to remember, like, those of you who weren't around or were too young, it was a long time before we saw Leon again after Resident Evil 2, and I mean a long time. Number one, Code Veronica was kind of the sequel to Resident Evil 2 and 3, and that game had Claire and Chris, and there were little spin-offs, not on major consoles, but like Resident Evil Gaiden and things like that. But it was a long time before we saw Leon again, and I've mentioned this in previous videos, but the first build of Resident Evil 4 became the first Devil May Cry game, and that game, that was what, 2002 maybe? 2000? No, it was earlier than that. Yeah. But yeah, it was a long time before we saw Leon again. So when we saw him again in Resident Evil 4, just from that opening intro where he's kind of talking about 1998 and the shit that went down, he already seemed way more mature and more just kind of cool. He was a cool dude already, which was it's one of those moments of character development that it's cool to have missed out on, in a way, because you see how far he's come from being the young naive cop he was in Resident Evil 2 when he was voiced by Paul Haddad, the late Paul Haddad, rest in peace. And then when he comes back, voiced by Paul Mercier, and it's just he's throwing out one-liners, and he just seems super fucking cool under pressure. He'd grown. He'd grown, and he was just way more badass, and it was believable. With these new remakes back to back, and using Nick Apostolidis in the Resident Evil 2 remake, and then voicing him again in the Netflix show Resident Evil Infinite Darkness, which I believe was supposed to take place after Resident Evil 4. It doesn't give you that same measure of growth, that sense of character growth that you got in the old days with the original Resident Evil 4, having last seen Leon in Resident Evil 2. And, I was willing to give him a chance, but he's not selling it to me. It just, that's not there. And that's one aspect of the original that just won't be in the remake of Resident Evil 4. And I don't know, maybe some of you younger guys who don't know and never played the original Resident Evil 4, maybe you like, that it's the same guy. I mean, yeah, I always like it when they use the same voice actors over and over again. Of course I do. I mean, I've made my position on that very clear, but there are times when a character is much older than when you last saw them, and to do right by the character, you may need to recast him. And a lot of times that's because the original voice actor just, you don't buy that they would still sound like that, because some characters just sound young forever. they do. And I feel like Nick Apostolidis might be one of those kinds of actors. He just will always sound young. Which is unfortunate. But, maybe it could work. So that's already one thing that I feel we're missing is the absence of Paul Mercier, or at least an older sort of voice actor. You know, when they replaced T.C. Carson as the voice of Kratos from the original God of War games to the Norse ones, I was kind of bummed at first. I'd heard they'd gotten Christopher Judge, who I was already a big fan of because I was a fan of Stargate SG-1, where he played Teal'c. So I was familiar with Christopher Judge, and that was cool with it. And I'd heard the reasons they wanted to do mocap, but they kind of, I swear to God, I don't know what it is about Western studios, but they just do not respect fucking voice actors the way the Japanese do. Because they didn't even fucking tell him that, hey, we found a new actor. He found out very unceremoniously, kind of like David Hayter found out he wasn't going to be Big Boss in Metal Gear Solid 5. It was also fucked up. I have issues with that, and I know that Kojima is very much to blame for that. But yeah, like, you know, sometimes you do need to get a new guy for different reasons. So I wish he would do it more respectfully. But Christopher Judge really does work out as an older Kratos, because he's much older than he was in the original, like, Greek God of War games. And I don't know, maybe he'll sell it to me. But the fact that they're already, you know, he just sound, especially with the demo, the intro where he's saying what he went through, he sounds so much more whiny. He's like, oh, I remember 1998, it was terrible, I just have nightmares every night. He just, the original Resident Evil 4 Leon, Paul Mercier, was just like, yep, 1998 was shit. Umbrella went bankrupt when the world exposed what the fuck they did. Fuck those guys. Yeah, you know, he was cool about it. But Nico Apostolidis is playing Leon like he's got PTSD. Paul Mercier played Leon like, yeah, he has PTSD, but he's a fucking man about it, and he doesn't talk about it. You know what I mean? I don't know, maybe that's too toxic masculine, but I don't know. I feel like you're losing something. What's worse is, like, if this remake is fucking awesome, and it adequately gives us the experience of the original Resident Evil 4, but better, I know that the younger generation will never go and play the original Resident Evil 4, and I do feel like they are depriving themselves of something special in missing out on that. Especially because I've been over this before. There are things that they have changed, and I don't like those changes. I do not like it when modern developers, well, it happens in movies and shit too, is like, I don't like it when modern developers set out to remake a masterpiece of the past, and they make changes to the script and the various elements, like, you know, accidentally looking up Ashley's skirt, which happened all the time. Apparently that's not going to be in this game. And it's like, it wasn't in the original game. Your subtractions, it was very much in the original game, and you were taking it out. But this should be, I feel like you should pay more respect to the game that it was. If nobody had a problem with it back in 2004, fuck anyone who has a problem with it today, because this is a game from 2004 and it was fucking awesome. It just needed, you know, a facelift and better controls, and it was perfect the way it was. And yeah, and for some people, I know they're not going to care, and for the younger generation, they're not going to care either. But I mean, it was a different time, and I feel like you're not doing enough to preserve the time that it took place in. I don't like looking at things through a lens of modern times, especially things from the past. It's stupid. But so yeah, I think it'll be great. Oh, they left in the bingo line. That's good. That's good. But we'll see, man. We'll see later this month. Anyway, I will talk to you guys soon. I'll be brainstorming my next video for now while I continue to work on my Resident Evil Village video. See you around.